Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for April 6th through 7th, 2020. How are you doing? Well, we're coming into this full moon energy. Tomorrow on the 7th, 8th of April is this Libra full moon. Very potent and powerful energy as we begin to proclaim and demand within our own being spiritual justice. And this is the energy that's on the table right now. With this Mars in square, exact, coming up to this exact square, Mars in square to Uranus, we are looking at where are we at the end of the road and what do we need to do to move forward into this Aquarian age, into this new age. And we know this has to do with bringing to light and releasing darker energies from the planet that no longer fit where we're going and what we're doing. And we also talked about this layered time and how we're converging in these timelines, which is why it's so weird right now. But that also tells you exactly what your purpose, your role is. And how is this going for you? I bet you thought this is not anything what you thought your spiritual purpose would be, right? And yet we're being called to hold our energy as much as we can in these intense times on the planetary ideal, the highest ideal. And this is that we're basically need to harmonize up in this timeline convergence. And that's why you're here on the planet. That's why you've chosen to be a part of this Earth evolution, even though you're way more evolved than this three-dimensional reality. You chose to be here right now for this. And you are being invited into your soul purpose, your spiritual activation, your spiritual ascension. You're here to be on the cutting edge of spiritual ascension, and that's what's happening. Now, spiritual ascension energies are beautiful, expansive, and light, and this energy of being kind of moved through life rather than dragging your body through life. How about how these souls have felt for so long? So this is quite a shift. And this is part of this Mars square Uranus energy with Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus speaking to our self-worth, and do we deserve these new energies? Do we deserve to feel light and free? Or are we here to be punished and kept in quarantine? Now, that's an interesting energy because I do find this again and again in individual sessions, and especially working with groups of souls, soul groups. And it's like, you guys are totally allowing yourself to be punished by the energies of this world for your gifts and skills. And yet you won't allow yourself to have access to those gifts and skills, right? It's like going to jail for a crime you didn't do and never enjoying the crime, and it's not even a crime. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful spiritual gift. That's who you are. That's this Uranus and Taurus. You stepping on your spiritual path and doing what you're here to do, why you've survived and stayed here on this planet through all you've gone through, has to do with uncovering, excavating, and of course, knowing you deserve your spiritual gifts, which is what you're needed for right here, right now, at this time. So this part of the journey is about these souls allowing themselves to be in that planetary ideal. And it's very different from the picture we were being shown, from the picture we're being fed on the news, and the picture of the world right now. And you have to understand that this layered timeline, as much as you're being called to hold the ideal, that's it. Like at this point, we can't go saving any souls. The way we save souls is to hold this ideal and allow and accept that beings are choosing where they're going to be in this spectrum of these timelines when we shoot through the other side of the portal. But your job And it's really hard because even some of the most advanced teachers, some of the most awake and aware people that I've seen out there are really going into gloom and doom right now. And we have to understand that this is a vibrational reality. And we know spiritual evolution is, we've been waiting and waiting for this. So we have got to do what we're here to do, which is to be in a positive energy, hold that planetary ideal, because we're vibrationally choosing the future timeline. And you have the codes on a cellular level of this new earth, of this higher paradigm, of this Eden star that Earth wants to be. And you have this deep connection and love and devotion to this place, which is why you've bothered to stay here and deal with all this crap. And so it's like time to kick it into gear, time to be who you are and step into your light. And you don't know what that means exactly, but it means choosing the highest vibrational outcome and vibrational energy to be in your life, giving yourself permission. All comes back to that Uranus and Taurus, that the new energies we're trying to bring into the earth are about us feeling worthy of them. And so if you're feeling worthy of gloom and doom, if we're being asked right now to, at this point, there's no saving this world. I mean, it's like we're here, we're at this point, we're in the portal, we're in the birth canal, right? And at this point, we need trust in a higher power. And it doesn't mean we're waiting for a savior. You are the higher power. And that's why life's been so hard and so intense. And it's time to kick into gear and surrender and step into these higher frequency vibrations, which are waiting just behind the veil of delusion. And understand that as much as everything in this programming, in this technological control, I mean, we're going to find out that we're like under so much attack vibrationally and energetically, and in our physical bodies from all of these things that have been happening to us. But we are more powerful than all of it. And the more you've been attacked with these technologies, the more potential you have to lead us into the new age. And so we are at that place of choosing our vibrational frequency and the higher power that we know this evolution isn't for this. We didn't go through all of this for the last 100,000 years to fail now. And what looks like gloom and doom, like if you're choosing that vibrationally, I mean, there is an energy coming up of a release, of a purge right now, of planetary grief, of failure energies individually for these souls, of when you weren't able to complete your mission, feelings of blaming yourself for this earth evolution, also feelings of like this hopeless, all is lost, deep spiritual isolation. All of this is how you felt for a very long time. And so now it's coming to the surface. And indeed, we're being shown that it's a planetary purge we need to really move forward. And that's what's trying to happen. And this is a healing crisis. And of course, again, these souls being asked to keep your eye on the prize, to keep your eye on the bigger picture. You got to step back and look at this whole earth evolution and why you've bothered to be here, which is for right now to be able to hold the ideal, to be in hope, to trust in this higher power, which is your higher self being invited to land. Uranus and Taurus is also about higher vibrational frequencies infusing into the earth, and this spiritual ascension is happening. It's like there's nothing that can stop it. And the control energies, what they wanted to do is bring us into a technological matrix before we can get into our spiritual oneness matrix, right? Which is not a matrix. It's our natural state of evolution into spiritual oneness principle And that's what brings us a better world, right? It's like, oh, okay, we're all connected. We better start taking care of each other or it's going to hurt, you know? And that's this planetary purge. We do have a period of pain where we've got to release these lower energies. And we know that that's got to happen before we can move forward. But you're here to keep your energy on the bigger picture of the beautiful thing that's happening. And that is your spiritual purpose, very different than how you maybe thought. But today, so Mercury and Neptune have been close for the last couple of days, bringing up a lot of this planetary grief, these deep feelings of defeat that go along with the distortions of the Piscean age. Now, Pisces, all of the signs have a positive octave, lower and lower octave. And in this case, because we're trying to complete the Pisces energy, we're looking, that a lot of the attention has been on the dark distortions of the Piscean age, how our spiritual energy of oneness principle, of devotion to the one, was absconded and distorted and used to control us. Okay. So this Neptune and Mercury together over the last couple of days is like bringing up a lot of emotions, deep planetary grief, all those feelings, deep isolation of these souls, like defeat and feelings of like being beaten down again and again. These are old feelings coming up to the surface, right? And that's also this planetary purge. And it's like, we don't want to suppress those feelings, but we also want to keep our energy on that bigger, wider spiritual truth of what's happening here. So we cannot be the spiritual beings we are and everything we've gone through to be here right now and be in gloom and doom. They don't fit. It doesn't fit. If you're in gloom and doom, then you're negating who you are as a spiritual being. And that has gone on long enough. So what's happening is that Mercury has come off of Neptune. And it's at 22 degrees today, Neptune at 19. But since the moon is in Virgo today, it is opposing that Neptune and then Mercury. And so it's kind of like a mini bloom of what we've been feeling for the last few days of like all is dark. It's darkest before the dawn. It's also this all is lost moment that you have to understand we're kind of in right now. And that's exactly when you and your spiritual power, your higher power, kick into gear. And so it's okay. We're waffling between this purging of this grief, this planetary grief, purging of the darkness, purging of the lies and the deceit that, we're like, it's like we're just waiting for this something, And what's really happening in this waiting is that we're converging these timelines into all these layers because to go through the portal, we all have to be together. And that's why you've chosen to be a part of this evolution, to hold that ideal so that as we go through this portal of change, we get the highest vibrational outcome. That's why you're here on the planet. And you just being here is fulfilling your mission. But you also came here for full expression of who you are. And now the energies, it's like pushing you out of the nest. You thought you were flailing here, but you're really on the edge, cutting edge. Like you really know what's going on, even though you don't know, and it's important too, because the operative energy of like what's trying to happen behind the scenes, it's really important we don't know. And that's of course frustrating because our mental mind goes, well, if I kind of knew what was going on, I could hold space for it better. And it's like, no, that's not how it is right now. Because it's like, if you knew, then you'd know the plays of, then also the dark forces would know the plays that are trying to happen too. And so it's like, we're just in this complete and total unknown. And all we have ahead of us is our spiritual purpose, our spiritual path in this planetary ideal. So it's intense because we're like being pushed into this energy, incarnating that higher self, incarnating that higher trust. And also then we find our soul group there, and it's very potent and powerful. And then we'll get pulled down into the lower vibrations and into the gloom and doom and into the failure and all is lost. And then you got to bring yourself back and know that just behind the veil of that delusion of this world, see, that's the part of the lower octave of the Piscean age is delusion, right? Like just so many lies we've been told and we bought into, right? And there's enough people on the planet now that are open and available and willing to face the truth. And that's part of this portal. And you guys are going to be holding space for the masses as we come into these greater truths. And that's the period of time we're in, this great revealing. Now that energy is really coming to the surface because today Chiron moves to 6 degrees Aries. Black Moon Lilith's at 7 degrees Aries. So again, they're only 1 degree apart again for just these couple of days. Right for this Libra full moon tomorrow, speaking of planetary justice, and we've got this moon in Virgo today opposing that Neptune and Mercury, kind of bringing this. Virgo is like cleansing. Virgo wants to clean things up, sort things through, and purify, right? And that's kind of where we're at. It's like, to get justice, we've got to purge the darkness, to get that karmic justice that we need to move into the new age. And if you've ever been in a ceremony where purging is part of it, it's like you'll just be in this place where you can feel the energies just like gathering up in your body, and like it's coming. And this is kind of where we're at right now, where it's like gathering up this, and it's like you have to get it out. And that's what we're doing on a planetary level. So hold tight and be present and be who you are, be the star you are, bring your light in. This is your time. And it's like letting yourself step over that threshold into spiritual hope. The energies are right there, right? But we've got to make the leap. And then we feel the energies, and little by little, letting them more into your life, moment by moment, saying, oh, there's the gloom and doom. That story's happening, but I've been there for so long. Oh, and it's just getting tiring, right? And your spirit is calling for something else because it's finally time. And again, incarnating this bigger self is, you don't know who this is, right? So there's just so much unknown, and yet there is something known too, which is like deep inside of you and way, way, way out there, is like this part of you that understands what we're doing here and why you're here. And your whole life, right? Your whole lifetimes finally making sense. And so the pieces are coming together, even though it looks like all is being torn apart. And you're here to hold the fabric of that new possibility in the power of your light and the power of your consciousness, and us connecting to each other together. So that full moon activation happening exactly at the time of the Libra full moon, a great time to exercise our collective consciousness power. That's going to be 8 p.m. tomorrow night in Mountain Time. That's 7 p.m. on the West, on the 7th, April 7th. That's 7 p.m. on the West Coast and 10 p.m. on the East Coast. And if you can't make the live in your time zone, just know that the energy is encoded and you're still a part of this group, and we're all together. And catch the replay when you can. And so the information to sign up for that is below, holding space for this planetary ideal and remembering and feeling how many light workers, how many advanced souls are on the planet right now, waking up to who they are, just shining lights, sprouting seeds. And you are one of those in this powerful group. So thanks so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the next update, and hopefully that full moon activation. And until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.